Yo, what's up, everybody? So today we are doing the Week 13 preview of the Steelers versus Washington football team game with Juan Gotti. We're gonna go through the injury report real quick, nothing major with that, and then we'll talk about our predictions for the game and then our stat predictions at the end. And make sure you guys sub up Juan Gotti's channel. And yeah, anything you have to say?
Thank you for having me, man. And this truly can become a weekly thing, man. I enjoy doing these every time
Yep.
we do it, and hopefully we can get a win.
Yep, agreed. So yeah, we're just gonna wait for a few people to get in here. And yeah, what's up, Toe and Ho? What's up, Clover? What's up, Ayen? Or sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. Okay, so the injury report. There's nothing major on there. So Morgan Moses is questionable, but I mean Morgan Moses, he plays through a bunch of injuries in general, and I think he has the longest streak, right, for starting
Yeah,
for us. So I think he is gonna play. McLaurin is questionable. He's probably gonna play, and Ryan Anderson is questionable. Who knows if he plays? But it really doesn't matter that much. But the big news: Cornelius Lucas and DeShazier Everett are good to go for the game. So that's really good news because we don't have to see Troy Apke out there. That I love that. I mean, Troy Apke, we all know how bad he is, and we actually, because of the Shazier Everett's injury, we actually found ourselves, a decent player in Jeremy Reeves. So hopefully this week, if DeShazier Everett and Cam Curl, if they're starting, hopefully Jeremy Reeves gets more snaps than Troy Apke. What do you think about that?
yeah, man, definitely for sure. I'm glad we have Reeves back because we really. Well, I'm not gonna say we really needed him because Jeremy Reeves actually, filled in perfectly for DeShazier Everett. But at the same time, hey, and the more healthy we are, the less we have to see Troy Apke.
Yeah, I agree. And, hopefully we keep on seeing Cameron Curl continue to grow. And, we got a lot of young players, so it's good to see Cameron Curl, progressing. And then also, Stephon Tuitt looks like he's going to play tomorrow. He was on the reserve list. He
Oh,
should
take
be
so.
good to go. I'm trying to look at this list. It's
Take so.
very small, but I think they got Steven Nelson. He's questionable for the game. And I didn't see that Big Ben's doubtful. Is he actually?
Yeah, that's why I was saying your name because they just say he's doubtful, and earlier he was questionable, and Nelson was doubtful. So if he got downgraded to doubtful, then I'm about to check that out. Is that new?
Yeah, I doubt maybe. I don't know where you guys found that out. I'm looking it up right here. Brooke Pryor on Twitter. I don't see that. Who knows? Maybe he
Because
is question. So I'll read the injury report right here. Okay.
okay,
So this is okay. So Steven Nelson, their cornerback, is doubtful. Chris Boswell, their kicker, he's questionable, but what the kickers that they always play. Let's see. Clover McLaurin he's not good to go necessarily. He's questionable, but he most likely is gonna play. We'll probably get that news tomorrow, maybe even today, but most likely tomorrow is when we get that news. But hey, if Big Ben doesn't play, we should win this game. We have to win this game with Big. Because here's the thing, I feel like what makes the Steelers great. I mean, what's up, Casper, and what's up, Kevin? The thing with the Steelers is, Big Ben, obviously good quarterback, but the reason why they're a lot better this year than to last year is Big Ben releases it so quickly, so the opposing defense can't really get to him. He's only got sacked 10 times this year. So if Mason Rudolph is playing, that is going to change, and he's going to be holding on to the ball a lot more. So hopefully he does not play. What's up, Philip B? Let me look. What is it with his injury?
well,
So okay, it's an
oh yeah,
yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, yeah, so it's a knee, and he's been dealing with this knee for 2 weeks, and he's played through both games. So I don't think he's going to play. I'm going to just put the elephant out of the room, guys, now, so we don't get our hopes up when we see him trot out onto the field Monday. He is going to play. Same with McLaurin. McLaurin dealt with his ankle injury in the Bengals game, and then he played. You remember the whole week leading up to the Cowboys game, they said he was questionable with an ankle injury. He ultimately decided to play, or he was good to go, and he actually had a hell of a game. Then down, they're saying he's on a questionable with the ankle injury. This is just something to put on the list because if he played in a short week versus Dallas, you think he's not going to play with 11 days off? So, guys, I'm telling you this now. McLaurin's going to play, and I'm more than certain that Big Ben Roethlisberger is going to play.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing with Big Ben and what's up, Hassan? What's up, Naughty? The only thing with Big Ben and is that why I think he's gonna play, but there might be a small chance that he doesn't play just because I feel like the best thing for the Steelers. I mean, I guess they want to get that first round bye, but at the same time, I feel like the pressure of going undefeated kind of hurts you and it mounts on them. And maybe Big Ben, or not Big Ben, Mike Tomlin knows that, and maybe he's fine with Big Ben getting a week of rest against, again, off a short week. He's going to play against us on 5 days rest, and then he plays again against the Bills, I think, Sunday night. So that's another short rest. So again, I think he's going to play, but that could be his thinking too. I mean, he doesn't want his quarterback to re-aggravate the injury against a team that he might think he can beat the team with his backup. That's just my thinking. I still, like I said, still think he's going to play, but wouldn't be extremely surprised if he didn't.
Exactly. I agree with you on that front, but at the same time, I feel like Mike Tomlin. I'm pretty sure you've seen his press conference. He was pissed the way they performed versus the Ravens, and we seen it too. They played horrible, even though they got the win. They played horrible, and Mike Tomlin absolutely, he made that abundantly clear that they played horrible. And I'm just being honest. I don't see them, letting up on us, especially because they're aware of how good our defense is. They're aware of how solid Alex Smith is. You know what I'm saying? They know who Terry McLaurin is. So although the team might take it lightly, Mike Tomlin is not. I don't think so.
Yeah, I agree. I think Tomlin, I mean, yeah, he was really mad. He called them a JV. They played like a JV team. And yeah, he's gonna want him to play. And yeah, I think Big Ben's gonna play. But if he doesn't, that is huge. If Big Ben doesn't play, that is absolutely huge. And yeah, the only other players that aren't playing, obviously Bud Dupree is out, and that's huge for us. Obviously, the injury sucks, but he's probably their best. Besides T.J. Watt, you could argue he's a top 3, top 4 defensive player on their team, and they got a bunch. They got Minkah Fitzpatrick, Joe Hayden, Cameron Hayward. They got a bunch of T.J. Watt. They got a bunch of really good players on defense, and he's one of their best. He's got 8.5 sacks, and the huge part about that is that now instead of focusing on both of them and possibly putting 1 or 2 guys on both of them, now we can more focus on that TJ Watt side. And I do believe he goes up against Morgan Moses. I think. I'm not sure if he rotates, but if he does, that's huge because he's going to be on that side against Moses. And Moses is our best tackle, but then also he's going to have Sheriff to help him out too. So that's what I really like about that matchup. Obviously, TJ Watt has a huge edge because he's one of the best defensive players in the NFL. But that's if he does play up against that right side, I do like that better versus the left side. What's up, Iman? What's up? 1,000 subs, no videos. What's up, Town? What's up, C17? So, what do you think about that matchup with TJ Watt? What do you think we have to do?
Yeah, man. Like you reiterated, that we've been talking about all week. That Bud Dupree injury was huge, and unfortunately, it came at an unfortunate time with the Pittsburgh Steelers as they were trying to search for a perfect season. But at the same time, it kind of benefited us. And I really, a lot of people can call me crazy, but I really feel that T.J. Watt now that I have Morgan Moses back, he's going to be effective. Trust me. He might get a sack or two, but Morgan Moses is going to, limit that. And what's more than perfect than having our best guy go up against their best guy, what is his name? Jeremy Sprinkle over there to double team on some plays. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just glad Morgan Moses can go back to his natural position, because David Sharp, if he was going to be over there, we would have been in for a world of trouble. And now we could very well still be. But just once again, I'll prefer to have my best guy going up against their best guy.
Yeah, so right now we're just gonna talk about, like we've been talking, some keys to victory, what we have to do to win. We'll give our score prediction and then stat predictions, and then we'll talk about maybe some guys we want in the draft, free agency, etc. So give me one key to victory that you have for this game.
One key to victory I have for this game is what we've been able to do for the past couple of weeks is get out of the first half. You know what I'm saying? Survive the first half, especially versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. If we can survive the first half, go in the locker room down 3, down touchdown, or even up touchdown or up 3, I think we have a good chance of winning this game. But if we let this game get out of hand, 20-6, 21-3, 27-10, whatever a high scoring first half for the Pittsburgh Steelers, if we allow that to happen, we could be in a world of trouble. So one key to victory for me is just to survive the first half.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, one of my keys to victory in this game was, in my video, was, got to start out fast. You can't start out slow like you have against a lot of these teams. One of my kind of keys to victory, it's kind of a 2-1, but we have to, like I said, 2-1, and this is assuming Big Ben does play. What's up, Armin Brown? What's up, Christian? Is we got to be able to tackle and limit the yards after catch, because if you look at their games, they barely throw deep balls, and Big Ben mostly throws 3, 4, 5-yard passes. And I think Juju Smith-Schuster is averaging like 9 yards a catch, something like that, and that's really, really low. And if we can do that, yes, they're going to get yards on us and they're going to move down the field. But, and here's the second part, we got to limit them in the red zone. And we right now are the best red zone defense in the NFL. And that is crazy to hear, but we have the least amount of touchdowns allowed, or percentage wise. So we got to continue to do that. And, the Steelers were absolutely terrible in the red zone against the Ravens. I think they were 1 for 4, and they had like an interception. So they did not play good in the red zone, and they're probably going to get down the field on us. They are going to do that. But we just have to make sure that once they do get in that red zone, we have to stop them. And also, like I said, we can't allow them to get big plays. And part of that is the tackling. What's another one you have?
Another one that I also had was true to what we've been doing these past couple weeks, and that was running the ball. We were able to establish the run versus the first time against the Dallas Cowboys. We was able to establish the run versus Cincinnati Bengals. We was able to establish the run, obviously, Antonio Gibson's best game last time we played the Dallas Cowboys in that onslaught. So stick to, what's true, stay balanced, you know what I'm saying? But more importantly, you got to establish the run early and often. I don't care that their defensive line is great or whatever. Don't like become one dimensional. You know what I'm saying? Make them show you why not to run the ball, but don't just go in there assuming to not run the ball, because once you do that, you become one dimensional, and this is not the team that you want to become one dimensional against.
Yeah, and they have the number 1 pass defense in the NFL, and they have the number 1 defense in the NFL, but their run defense is 8th overall, which obviously that's still really good, but that's significantly less than number 1. And also, I'm going to assume with Bud Dupree out, that's probably going to lower it down a bit too, especially when running towards his side. And I haven't done a lot of research on it, but I feel like it's kind of like us. I mean, our secondary is solid, and so is theirs, but I feel like the D-line makes our and their secondaries look a lot better because of the pressure that they get. So we'll see. I think we should run the ball, but we'll see what matchup we get with Terry and our other guys. Let's see. Another key to victory I have. Okay. Well, we already touched on this, but we got to protect Alex Smith, especially against TJ Watt. We got to make sure we have the right guys lined up on him. and make sure Scott Turner has a nice scheme, scheme up and make sure that Alex Smith has time to throw or, do some quick throws. What's another one you have?
Oh, it's lagging. Give me a second. Okay, can you see me now?
Yeah.
I'm good. Okay. Can you repeat that again? It was lagging. My bad.
Like, what's another key to victory you have?
Well, another key to victory that I have, I talked about the defense and also the run. So why not go with another offense? Why not? So, get the ball in our playmakers' hands. And I know that we don't have a lot of playmakers in some people's eyes, but in my opinion, I think we do have some, sneaky playmakers. So try to get Terry McLaurin involved early in the offense, but at the same time, that's what they're going to be keying on is trying to get, stop Terry McLaurin. So we don't necessarily have to get him involved by giving him the ball, but use him as a decoy so that can allow to open up the offense for Steven Sims and Dontre M and Cam Sims. We got to get Cam Sims and Steven Sims involved, especially Steven Sims, because before the season started, I projected him to have somewhere between 600 to 800 yards, and he is nowhere near that. And yes, injuries played a factor into that, but also the offense doesn't really implicate him as much as it did last year. So we have to give the ball to him because we can't just rely on Antonio Gibson and Terry McLaurin to get us this win. Everybody has to play a vital role in this win Monday.
Yeah, and Steven Sims, the crazy thing is, if you look at his first 2 weeks, he had over 50 yards in both of those games, and that was on very limited targets. I think week 1, he had 3 catches for 50-something yards. Same thing in week 2. So I don't know what's going on with him because he looked better in his rookie year. Maybe this toe injury is still hurting him, or maybe it's just, he came in late, or, he started out fine, but that injury hindered him and the offense developed and he didn't really get to mesh with Alex Smith and Kyle Allen. So maybe that's part of it. But hopefully this offseason or even during this season, he can start to get back to it. Tua is back this game, Armand. That's bad news, but still, I think we still should be able to use Gibson in the run game. Another thing is, I hope this doesn't really have anything to do with the game, but I hope we get to see AGG before the season is over. He has to get a little bit more of playing time, and he's got to get on that field because he really hasn't developed much at all this year. Part of that is due to injury, and he didn't have much time in the offseason. So I hopefully we see him back this season, even if it's just for one game. What do you think, Juan?
Yeah, honestly, I know he sustained a concussion, but isn't that the reason why he's out? It's concussion, right?
Oh, so the crazy thing with AGG's injury is that it was really never like hugely like publicized like what it was, but it is a hamstring injury,
Oh,
and he's been out ever since. Was it the Cleveland? No, it was.
I think it was the Cleveland game.
Yeah, it was around there. It was like week 3 to. I think it might have been the Ravens. I'm not sure. It was around then. It was around week 3, week 4, week 5, around then, and he hasn't been back since. And hopefully it's a hamstring injury, and those are bad, but he doesn't necessarily rely on his speed. So maybe he can come back in those last couple weeks of the season because we have to kind of know what we have in this wide receiver room. Because some people want to spend big in free agency. So we got to see what we have in our wide receivers this year. And I think it's, really important that we get AGG back this season. Let me read some comments. What's up, Brian?
So
Yeah,
so he's not on IR, so he can come back. And
I think he is on IR.
Oh yeah, I think he. So,
but it doesn't matter because he's already been on it for 3 weeks.
right.
So they can bring him back, or they can even do the thing with like they did with Bryce Love, designate him to practice, and then they have 21 days to determine. Talano, thank you so much for the $5 donation. Remember the 18th of November, 2 years ago, the day Alex Smith is injured by J.J. Watt. Now we have to prevent T.J. Watt to sack and injure Alex. Yeah, I mean, hey, hopefully we can, like you said, protect Alex Smith. TJ Watt's one of the best. I mean, probably I would say besides Aaron Donald, he's probably the best pass rusher in the NFL. And yeah, we got to protect him. And I'm not confident, but I think that if Moses plays and we got Brandon Sheriff on that right side too, I think that'll help us out a lot. So hopefully, like you said, we can protect TJ Watt because that's huge. Because Alex Smith, he's a lot better with more time. So, and even if he doesn't have time, hopefully Scott Turner schemes up a plan where we can do these quick passes like Big Ben does, get Gibson, JD McKissick, involved. One more thing, I think that something that I don't like about Scott Turner, and I do understand it, but especially in the Giants Lions games, when we were down by a lot, and like I said, I understand you have to come back, but they just completely abandoned the run game, and not only that, but like they completely took out Gibson, and I think you still should use the run game a little bit, and so I hope that if we're down by a lot, sure you should be passing more than you are running, but still don't abandon the run game just because it wasn't working in the beginning.
Yeah, definitely for sure. Now, like I told you all stream, I don't think we're gonna ever be down by a lot because, like I said, Pittsburgh has not blown out a team besides Jacksonville. So, and every game that they've played in has been close, and that's because they don't know how to close out a team. And like I told you before, if we can, somehow stick around and be that one team that's actually going to make them pay for that close out of the team, I would love that. So, like you said, though, we can't abandon the run even if we're down, unless we go full Detroit Lions mode where we were down by 20 plus points and we had to throw a lot. That's an exception. But if we're down and you're still trying to throw a lot, which I highly doubt he's going to do because Scott Turner from the first half of the season and now are totally two different people. So I think he's going to try his best to stay balanced and pull some gadget plays out of his head.
Yeah, and I mean, really the biggest reason why, and this is my opinion, and again, I'm not a Haskins hater at all. I mean, I was one of the biggest Haskins supporters out there, but that's the reason why he wasn't really doing good in the first few weeks. He didn't have his quarterback. He didn't have the quarterback he wanted, and not necessarily Haskins' fault, but he didn't really fully know the offense like Kyle Allen did, and eventually like Alex Smith did. So I think that's why he started out slow and he's gotten better ever since then. What's up, King Sean? I agree, Armand. I agree. So let's go into our score predictions. So I will start here. I'm gonna say 27-20 Steelers. I obviously you're never necessarily happy with a loss, but I'll be encouraged if we lose by less than 10 points. Obviously if Big Ben plays, because this team, if we show that we're competitive, especially against an 11-0 team, it shows that we're moving in the right direction, and it gives us, if we keep this game close, I think it shows that we can win one of the next two games after that, because you have to think, we haven't beaten a really good team or played a really good team since that Rams game. So we've played good. We've played really good against these bad teams. 3-3 in that, stretch, but the 3 games we lost were by a combined 7 points. So I'm interested to see what we do against a way better team than we've been playing. And I think we have a slight advantage, not necessarily like to win this game, but we got 11 days rest. They got 4 days rest. They got their mental state of mind might be a little bit, crazy just because they had to go through that whole week and a half process where they didn't know if they were playing, if they were not. They were getting mad at the league. All that stressing them out. They got Bud Dupree's out. Marquise Pouncey, I think he's out too. James Conner's out. So if we can keep it close, I'm going to be happy, and I think we can. And again, I think that pressure of being 11-0 might hurt them a little bit, but I'm going to say 27-20 Steelers.
Yeah, man. And, like you know, I don't do picks on my channel because I feel like I jinx it. But since we're on your channel, I'll do one. But I don't know. Every time I don't know, I could be tripping, but every time I don't do a prediction, we win. So hopefully that tradition continues. But I think this game is going to be much closer than a lot of people think. But at the same time, they're 11-0 for a reason, and I'm gonna just be a realist. Although I want us to win, and I think that we have a chance to win. I think we're gonna lose 24-10. I just think that we're gonna keep it close and then get a crucial touchdown late in the game where our defense has to get a stop and get Alex Smith the ball back. We failed to do that, and they get a touchdown over top to Chase Claypool, and they put us out of our misery, 24-10. Or should I say, keep us in our misery? But I hope.
Yeah, so we'll see. I hope we can keep it competitive because I think that'll be, a good sign for things to come in the future. So if we could keep it close, I'll be satisfied with that. King Sean, I mean, you first of all, you can't. I think in the NFL, like yes, we're probably not going to win, but you can't say we don't have a chance to win because in the NFL, any team can win, and especially this Steelers team. You look at their games; they barely beat the Ravens with a second and third string quarterback, and they also had the Ravens had 20 players on the reserve list. They barely beat that team, and they haven't really been impressive in a lot of their wins. So I'm not saying we're going to win that game, but you can't say we don't have a chance to win that game.
Exactly, man. I'm gonna just be honest and say here, if the Ravens had Lamar Jackson, they would have lost that game. And I quite frankly, honestly, after seeing that game, if they would have started Trace McSorley, they probably would have won that game because he really did throw it on the time.
Yeah, RG3 did not play good. I was rooting for him because I really like Robert Griffin, but he had that pick six, that fumble, and 33 yards passing. Yep, Steven Nelson is doubtful. So now let's go through some of our score predictions for this game, or stat predictions. Sorry. Let's start out with Alex Smith, and this is a tough one, just because he has that big game potential, just because if we're down by a lot, he's going to be forced to pass a lot, and he could get a bunch of yards. I'm going to say, so what? He's gotten 16 completions. That was last week, 16-ish. So I'm going to say 19 for 28, 19 for 28 and 207 yards.
Okay, so I'm gonna try to give two perspectives on this answer, only because I'm gonna have one for if we're in the game and we possibly win it, and two for if we're down. So we know Alex Smith doesn't have a lot of yards, don't throw, and if you won the game, if Alex Smith is in the third quarter with 17 or probably 12 completions for 127 yards and a touchdown. You're in that game, or you're possibly winning that game. That's more of Alex Smith. But my real answer, I'm gonna say 14 for 19, 158 yards and 2 touchdowns and 1 interception. I hope that doesn't happen, but 1 interception is realistic. And my other answer for if we're down by a whole bunch, like he did in versus Detroit, I'm gonna say 27 for 43 and 300 plus yards and probably no touchdowns again. But I'm gonna give him 1, and the second one is for if we're down by a lot.
Okay, so yeah, we'll see. It's gonna be interesting. Let's see. Yeah, Zach Wilson's playing right now, I heard. Okay. So let's go to McLaurin. So obviously this is if he plays, but he's gonna play. We hope at least. And I'm gonna say, well, this is a tough one. I mean, the thing with McLaurin, even if Alex Smith, if you told me before the game, Alex Smith is throwing for 170 yards, I would still not be surprised if Terry got over 90, over 95, because Terry, there's really no other receiving threats on our team, right? Big receiving threats, because Cam Sims could be. He definitely could be. But we haven't been targeting him. Same thing with Isaiah Wright and others. But Terry's the biggest threat on this team. So I'm gonna say, this is tough. He hasn't gotten in the end zone in a while. I think ever since that Giants game. So I'm gonna have him go in the end zone this week. I usually don't. I'm gonna say 6 catches for. I'm gonna say 6 catches for 86 yards and a touchdown.
I'm gonna say 9 9 receptions for 82 yards and a touchdown, and more importantly, he's over the 1K mark.
Yep. I mean, what is he? He's at 963. So as long as he
Hit it for
gets
sure.
37, he's good for that 1K mark.
And we know.
Okay. So that's Terry. Everyone also drop your Terry predictions in the chat. Hassan said 9 for 107 and a touchdown. Armin said 8 for 96 and a TD. Yeah, hopefully he gets that TD so he can, get that TD number up. He just has 3 TDs on the year. So now let's go to Gibson. So this is interesting again because both of our predictions could be totally off just because if they abandon the run game, then that could change. So let's just assume they don't abandon the run game or at least they stick to it. I'm going to say Gibson gets 15 carries. I'm going to say Gibson gets 15 carries for 72 yards and 1 touchdown. He always gets a touchdown, so I'm going to give him a touchdown this week. Until he breaks that streak, I'm not going to not predict him to get a touchdown because every week he's gotten one. And then I'm going to say four catches for 29 yards.
Okay, so I predicted us to lose 24-10, and now I'm thinking about it. I want to say Gibson's gonna have a touchdown. So 17-24 maybe my final score, but no, I'll just say my stat prediction regardless, because more than likely not the score prediction isn't gonna be right. So I'll say probably 93 yards for Antonio Gibson, almost another 100-yard performance and 2 touchdowns. I really do, because once we get down in the red zone, we always from the 2 to the 5, we always hand it off to Gibson. He always found a way to surge his way into the end zone.
Yeah. So yeah, hopefully he gets that in. And, if he can stack some more games together, I don't think he's going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year just because Herbert deserves it more than he does. He's had a great year. Also, even if Herbert just had like an above average year, it's a quarterback. It's pretty much a quarterback award. So they usually give it to the quarterback. So that's probably what's going to happen now, unless, Herbert gets injured or Gibson just goes on a tear. But I'll be happy if he finishes top 3. I really will. And I think next year he could be in the Pro Bowl. Once he gets, a lot more carries and gets more acclimated into the offense. Hassan said 16 carries, 98 yards, a touchdown, 5 catches, 32 yards. Christian, I would say for Bryce Love, I would say keep him. Let him battle out for a roster spot in training camp and make your decision based off that. And, we keep on I've said this a bunch. We still haven't had a running back get a receiving touchdown, which is crazy. Because we've got 2 pass catching running backs. McKissick's almost got in once. Gibson had a chance last week, but he kind of dropped the pass. He was a little in front of him. But I'll go ahead and say McKissick's stats. I'll say I'm gonna say 5 carries for 26 yards. I'll say 5 carries for 26 yards and 4 catches for 26.
I'm gonna say seven rushes for 42 yards, and I'm gonna say 6 receptions for 72. 6 receptions for 35 yards, and probably gonna have 11 11 attempts, or should I say 11 targets out of the backfield.
Okay. Yeah, we'll see. We got to get our running backs a little bit more involved in the pass game. I want to see Gibson keep on getting more touches. I love Gibson. So now let's go into Logan Thomas. He's another one that's tough to predict. I'm gonna say 3 catches. I don't think he's gonna have a great game. I'm gonna say 3 catches for 24 yards, no touchdowns.
No, I think vice versa, man. I think Logan Thomas is gonna have a big day because every game that we play, he gets more and more involved in the offense, man, and he's really a good tight end number 2. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and say 7 receptions for 62 yards and probably a touchdown. But if not a touchdown, one of those catches will be a big gain that leads to a touchdown possession.
And one thing I will say is a lot of people are saying Logan Thomas is best a tight end too, and I somewhat disagree with that because I mean, you look at his stats this year. I mean, a lot of his stats are similar to like Jonnu Smith, starting tight end for the Titans. Eric Ebron, starting tight end for the Steelers. I mean, he has some solid numbers, and again, he's getting better and better. So I would not. I think we still need to address the tight end position. Doesn't need to necessarily bring someone in better than him. Either sign a good backup or, draft someone in the 4th, 5th round and let him play behind Logan Thomas for a year. And maybe he's a starter after that. I mean, Logan Thomas has like almost double the yards that Austin Hooper got, and his contract is much better. So, we'll see about Logan Thomas. I mean, the jury's still out, and maybe he can be our starting tight end. What do you think?
Yeah, I want to say he can be a tight end one, but I would prefer to have not Cameron Jordan. What is his name? Brevin Jordan from Miami, and also, but I want Kyle Pitts. Just imagine Kyle Pitts and Logan Thomas. That is a nasty duo. That is, a quarterback's job. I would like heaven for them because tight end is like their first target to go to because that's their safety blanket. They're across the middle every time. So just imagine having two tight end sets with Logan Thomas and the Kyle Pitts. And again, Kyle Pitts is such a stud, man. That's who I really want us to draft first round.
Yeah, I mean, Kyle Pitts, I mean, obviously, there's no doubt he's an absolute beast. But for me, he's almost like he's almost more of a receiver to me than a tight end. So I still would like to draft him, but I don't know if he would be. He could be a mix of both, but he could be a wide receiver for us.
So you think he's gonna be like a Chase Claypool? Because remember Claypool coming out of college this year, they were like he's a tight end, but then now you see he's clearly a wide receiver one. But you remember during the draft process, they said he was like a tight end too, or unless he just played tight end at Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's see, who do we have left? Let's go ahead and do Cam Sims. I'll keep this one quick. He hasn't had a big game in a while, so I'm gonna say 2 catches for 25 yards. I'm gonna say 2 catches, 25 yards.
I'm gonna say 4 receptions for 26 yards. Cam Sims, we come like before and coming out of the bye, we thought he was gonna have a heavy dose of the workload and getting more targets, but it just seems like Alex Smith hasn't looked his way. You know what I'm saying? And I just don't think he is gonna have a big game. I'm hoping he does, but Alex Smith doesn't look his way. You know what I'm saying? He looks at Terry McLaurin. If Terry McLaurin isn't open, he immediately dumps it down, it's not a problem with that. I'll take it, but at the same time, it's like Cam Sims is at fault because he can't get his stats, and I'm pretty sure he doesn't really care about that. But for us making predictions, it's kind of hard because he doesn't really get involved in the offense that much.
Yeah. Who else do we have? I mean, Isaiah Wright and Steven Sims. Kind of hard to predict. So we're not gonna do that just because they don't really. It's like some games they might not. Isaiah Wright didn't have a catch last game. Not his fault. I mean, I was listening to a film breakdown and he should have had 2 touchdowns, but Alex Smith didn't throw it to him. So not discrediting him last week. And Steven Sims, he might have an okay game. I would be really happy though if one of these receivers, besides Terry, have a big game. I mean, we've only seen one receiver this year have a big game besides Terry, and that was just one game of Cam Sims. So let's see. We predicted pretty much everyone on offense, right? Anyone we're missing that? So let's go ahead and do defense right now. Oh, you said Inman. I don't think we need to predict Inman. I mean, he's just another, they're all pretty much the same besides Terry. I mean, in terms of their usage in the offense, so it's kind of hard to predict. We predicted JD King Sean. Yes, Steven Nelson's doubtful. I saw that. let's go to the defense. How many sacks do you think this defense is going to get?
I'm gonna be honest. I'll be happy if we even get 2 sacks because this dude, Big Ben Roethlisberger, he gets the ball out of his hands within 2 seconds, man. So I'll be happy if we at least get 2 sacks.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. I think an optimistic prediction is 2 sacks. So I'm going to say 2 sacks. If, and this again is a big if Big Ben isn't playing, then that's a whole different story. If he doesn't play, then I would say like 4 sacks. But I'm going to go ahead and say 2 sacks, but hopefully we can create enough pressure. And something that I liked about what Jonathan Allen said in an interview, he said, you can't get frustrated with yourself. He was talking about like the games where a quarterback throw it really quickly. You can't get frustrated with yourself when the quarterback's getting it out so quickly, because if you do, and you start to give up the one play he doesn't get it out quickly, you won't be able to sack him. So that's the mindset our guys have to have, so that when Big Ben does hold it for 3-4 seconds, then that's when we get to him. So hopefully the rest of our guys have that mindset, and hopefully our defense balls out today, or not today, on Monday.
Yeah, definitely, for sure, man. I really hope our defense balls. I mean, I really want to win this game, dude. I honestly, I really feel like this is gonna be an upset alert, man.
Yeah, and Jonathan Allen has quietly had a really good season this year, even though the stats aren't necessarily there. He has 2 sacks. I think he's the fourth highest interior defensive lineman in terms of pass rush win rate. So that's really good. I mean, that means, he is helping his guys out. Again, sacks aren't really necessarily the biggest thing in terms of, you know, seeing how good a guy is. It is when you're talking about a defense, because if Jonathan Allen pressures the quarterback, his pressure and him getting beating a guy might force a guard or something to help that guy and slide to the left and free up someone else. And that's why our defense is getting a lot of sacks. So even though Jonathan Allen only has 2 sacks, he's had a pretty good game this year. And yeah, so I saw some people talking about Zach Wilson. So we're not going to talk about it too much. We can talk about it more at the end. But I did see something on Twitter that right now on my feed, so I might as well share it. A nice throw that Zach Wilson made. So we'll go ahead and put it up on the screen right now. So let's see. Okay, yeah, you guys can see that. Okay, so he runs out to his right, and that's a really good throw. I mean, there's two guys there. And he's able to make that throw, like jumping up, rolling out to his right. That's a really good throw. Yeah, you
Yeah,
guys.
I'm not gonna lie. That looks like a Mahomes throw right there. I'm just
Yeah,
being.
that's what the caption of the thing
And
right there. But
yeah,
you
and then
know, yeah,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No, go ahead. I will.
That's the thing with me, is I really want to win the division. I really do. But that's why I'm saying, like, I will be happy either way, because I think we're gonna be in a good position either way. Because if we win the division, we're continuing to develop that winning culture, and and we're still gonna have a chance to get one of these quarterbacks, because the quarterback class is really good this year. And if we don't win the division, we're going to be in that top 10 range, and we're going to be able to draft our quarterback of the future or a linebacker of the future, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing. And like, it's like even if we do win the division, if we really want a Zach Wilson, we're gonna find a way to trade up and get him. You know what I'm saying? If we get the 19th pick, we'll probably have to give up maybe our second round pick for this year and next year. And if you guys really want our future quarterback on the roster next year, you'll do that. You know what I'm saying? So I believe that he might fall to probably 8 at the max. But before that, like after that, I don't see him, still being available.
Yeah, I agree. We'll see what happens. I forgot what I was going to say. But yeah, we'll see about Zach Wilson, and I'm gonna be interested to see what we do in this draft. We got a lot of different options. We could go QB. I also want to talk. I want to get a linebacker in this draft. Doesn't need to be in the first round, but what I was gonna say is, who does scare me a little bit is Trey Lance. I obviously wouldn't mind if we got him, and I think that he could be good. I think that he could be good in the right system. But the thing with him that concerns me is I think he has like 16 college games started or something like that. And there really hasn't been any quarterbacks really that have come out besides Cam Newton that have had around the similar games played and have been, good. Haskins didn't have many games in college. We all know how that is so far. Same thing with Mitch Trubisky. I forgot who else, but it's a trend among quarterbacks, and that's why I'm a little bit concerned with Trey Lance.
Yeah, man, definitely for sure. And then not to mention that he's playing at North Dakota State University, so they don't play the best competition. Their best competition is when it comes to playoffs, and I believe the biggest school that they played was Kansas State, I believe. So they don't really have that big of competition, and that doesn't mean anything. I mean, look what Carson Wentz was pre-injury. But I'm just saying, everyone's different, and we already learned our lesson with having quarterbacks not being able to play, have a long, I guess, career in college. Dwayne Haskins only played a season. And now look at where he's at. Not saying he's not going to be a good quarterback, but obviously staying in college will help you be more NFL ready.
Yeah, we'll see. What do you think? What hole do you think that is the biggest hole on this team besides the quarterback position? What do you think we need to address in the draft or free agency?
Well, the biggest hole I think we need to draft is obviously linebacker. At first, I was gonna say safety, but we got great safety depth. Landon Collins, if he come back healthy, but I feel like Landon Collins might miss 2 years because Achilles take almost 2 years to fully heal. And even if he does, we can roll with Shays. We have Everett, and as much as we hate Apke, I wouldn't want to get rid of him. I'll keep him for special teams. So we have safety depth. So linebacker is really the biggest need. After that, I would take tight end. But that's one thing. I would address the linebacker position in free agency. Give me a Jayon Brown. You know what I'm saying? And then we could draft a Kyle Pitts in the draft. Linebacker. If we don't get a linebacker in free agency, I don't want one in the first round of the draft. We can probably get one in the second, maybe third. First round, I want a tight end. If we don't get a quarterback.
The thing with the tight end for me is I just don't. I mean, if it's Kyle Pitts, then it's different. But no one besides Kyle Pitts in the first round for me. I don't think it's worth it, especially where we're going to be drafting. I think you can get tight ends later in the draft. If Kyle Pitts is available where we're drafting, and we don't want a quarterback, then I would be okay with it. But I would like linebacker. I mean, I think not necessarily in the first round. If Micah Parsons is available, though, I would do that in a heartbeat just because I think you put him on our defense, and our defense is complete. Our defense with Micah Parsons, oh my gosh, that would be. I mean, he's one of the best linebacking prospects in a long time. I think he's going to be an absolute stud in the league. And, you put him and think about our defense, our front seven. I think right now, currently, our front seven is probably the best in the league just because Bud Dupree is out. I think that our front seven is probably the best in the league. If he's healthy, then obviously it's a debate between us and the Steelers. They've probably got the edge. But I think you think about our front seven, elite. Our linebackers right now are not good, besides Cole Holcomb. So you add a dominant linebacker like Ron Rivera. His linebackers were absolutely insane in Carolina. He had Luke Kuechly, Shaq Barrett, Thomas Davis. So he had a really good linebacking core, and we got to add some pieces there. And I think someone like Micah Parsons would be good. And if it isn't linebacker, I would, potentially go after receiver, and Kyle Pitts could potentially be that, wide receiver / tight end.
Yeah, exactly, man. Like Chris Cooley said, he said he believes that this defense is one linebacker away from having the best defense in the NFL, or at least having a complete defense, rather. So, if we can get him, I would like Micah Parsons. You know what I'm saying? But I'm leaning more towards a weapon for my quarterback, whether that's we get him in the draft or whether they still believe he's on the roster or not.
Yeah, we'll see what we do. I would. Yeah, wide receiver would be good for me. Jamar Chase is my guy that I want to take if we're, or even Waddle. I really, really like Waddle. He's one of my favorites also. Um, and yeah, how about free agency? What do you think we need to do in free agency? What players do you like for us to go after?
I like for us to go after obviously the wide receiver position. Obviously, Chris Godwin, Allen Robinson, Kenny Galladay. Allen Robinson doesn't want to be in Chicago. You clearly can see that. Kenny Galladay, he doesn't want to be in Detroit, in my opinion. And I honestly don't think Chris Godwin wants to be in Tampa Bay because he doesn't get the ball as much. You know what I'm saying? After that, I want to take a look at Joe Thuney. I know we have White Schweitzer, but we could obviously do better at the guard position. After that, I really want to see us to take a look into the tight end position. And then it can depending on Alex Smith. A lot of people don't like this, but depending on Alex Smith, if he's not coming back next year, if he wants to retire, take a look at Dak Prescott. You know what I'm saying? Other than that, defensive wise, well, I want to go Jayon Brown. As the linebacker position, I want him. And other than that, I don't really see anything else. Because at first I was going to say something about cornerbacks or safeties, but although they're not big names, they've been playing really well, and I'll be fine rolling with them into next season.
So for me, free agency wise, I don't really want to go after wide receiver one. I would like Allen Robinson. I think he's worth the money. I just think we have some holes elsewhere that we could address. But I think we need to seriously get a wide receiver too. So that could be Corey Davis. That could be Marvin Jones. That could be Kenny Stills. Guys like that at the minimum, if they play 14 plus games, they're going to get 500, 600 plus yards. And you need at least one guy on that team. And right now, we have no one. Besides Terry, we have no one.
Well, that's what I was about to ask. Do you think Will Fuller could become the wide receiver too? Because if you remember when he had DeAndre Hopkins, he was the wide receiver too. And I'm not saying Terry McLaurin is DeAndre Hopkins by any means yet. He will eventually become better than DeAndre Hopkins, and he'll become the best receiver in the NFL eventually. But as of right now, Will Fuller, do you think he'll be able to? Do you think he'll be comfortable with becoming the number 2 here at Washington, or do you think he'll? If they want to resign, do you think he'll take the number 1 wide receiver money in Houston, which most likely is going to be?
I'm gonna stay away from Will Fuller just because of not necessarily the PEDs. It's probably still his fault, but not necessarily. But the biggest thing is his health. He hasn't been able to stay healthy a lot of his years. This year he has, but who knows? That could have been because of the PEDs. I don't necessarily. I wouldn't be mad, but I think he's gonna cost big money. I don't necessarily want Juju though. Some people are saying that I think he's going to get wide receiver 1 money, and I don't think he's necessarily a wide receiver 1. Last year put up subpar numbers, and people could say, "Oh, we had a bad quarterback." Well, good receivers play well with bad quarterbacks. Look at Terry McLaurin. This year hasn't had a great year, so that's why I would most likely go after a second wide receiver, spend around 10 million or less combined on that wide receiver position. If you were in position to get Allen Robinson, okay, go ahead and get him. And then I also would not be mad if we went after someone like Jonnu Smith. I think him and Logan Thomas are both, I think Jonnu Smith has really good potential. Jonnu Smith does. He has 8 touchdowns this year. Hasn't been super healthy. Has around the same yards as Logan Thomas, but I like him. I really do. And I think you have both because we have no depth at that position. Imagine if Logan Thomas is out. We have Jeremy Sprinkle starting. He's absolutely terrible. So I would go after maybe him. And on the offensive side of the ball, offensive line side, I'm actually happy with our line. I think Moses is good. Resign Sheriff and Roulier. If you do that, I like Wes Schweitzer a lot. And even if you don't like Wes Schweitzer, then you got Sadiq Charles at that left guard position, or you can move him over to left tackle. If anything, left tackle is a spot we should go after, depending on what we think Sadiq will play. If he plays left guard or left tackle, he also has to stay healthy too. Let's see. And then on the defensive side of the ball, re-sign Darby. I would say, like you said, maybe get a linebacker. There's some decent linebackers in this draft. Like you said, Brown. You got KJ Wright, Levante David. Safeties, I'm fine with our safeties. I mean, some people don't like them, but I think Cameron Curl is starting to get better, and better. Shazier Everett is also solid. So maybe you feel like you have to add someone, and I'm fine with that, but I'm also fine with running that back the same group. And yeah, what do you think about that safety position?
Yeah, man, I'm totally down to run back the same group for 2021, but at the same time, I wouldn't actually be surprised if they actually do try to go out and get a safety. But if anything, they will probably try to get a safety in the draft. But I'm totally fine with running back with Shays and Cameron Curl being the two safeties, especially with Landon Collins being out. Because Landon Collins, if he is ready for next year, he'll probably miss the first half of the season or even first 5 weeks. Because I'm telling you guys, I don't know if it's just because of basketball players and they probably take longer to heal, but Achilles typically take close to 2 years to fully heal. Oh my God, talking too fast. It typically takes 2 years to heal fully, so I don't even know if he'll be fully, ready by the time of next season. So I'm totally fine with running with Cameron Curl and Deshaun Everett.
Yeah, we'll see. And yeah, I'm fine with us drafting a safety. And I mean, if there's a safety we really, really, really like and he's there, and he fell a little bit, I mean, I would not be mad if we drafted them in the third, even second. I mean, if there's a guy that really fell in the draft and you think he can be a stud, then go ahead. Go ahead and draft him. I mean, you got to go BPA usually. But yeah, also we'll see what Reuben Foster does. Yeah. Also, do you think Kyle Smith should get promoted to GM? And if you do, when do you think he will?
Of course I do. I think Kyle Smith will be, is qualified for our GM role, and I really think he should become the GM. But at the same time, I'm not sure. I wouldn't be able to answer that question. When will he get it? Because at this rate, I'm fine with having no GM. Honestly, I'm fine with Kyle Smith at the role he is because he still has a lot to say. And if we're going to continue to possibly trend in the positive direction at this rate that we are now, and with no GM, keep it like this.
Yeah, I mean, I think we should promote him to GM just because, I mean, if you don't, someone's gonna swoop in, see his work, see what he's done, and they might swoop in and be like, okay, you can be our GM. I'll pay you a lot more. And he might go ahead and do that. So that's why I hope we do promote him to GM this offseason. I mean, a lot of the guys he drafted, him and Ron Rivera, have done pretty well. I mean, obviously Chase Young, Gibson, Cam Curl, even James Smith Williams a little bit. And then Sadiq Charles was more of an injury thing, and same with AGG. What's up, Tyler C? So I'll give you 3 options. Who do you think is going to be our quarterback next year? Or actually our quarterback of the future, okay? So a free agent, someone in the draft, or someone on the roster right now? And if you do think it is in the draft, what round do you think it is?
Honestly, I think this is not what I would do, but I think it's gonna be in the draft. And I think probably gonna go first round and maybe Zach Wilson if that's what they want me to say. They want me to say Zach Wilson, and I don't think that we're gonna finish, bad enough to get Zach Wilson. So with that being said, I think that our quarterback might come into the third round unless we somehow stink it up and don't make the playoffs and stay at number 8 that we are at now. We'll get Zach Wilson at number 8. But if we don't, if we surpass that and possibly wins the division and make a playoff run, we'll probably try to trade up for our guy this year. Or if not, we'll have try to find our guy in the third round because we know Kyle Smith is good at drafting these gems in the third round. You know what I'm saying? De'Aaron King would be perfect for this offense.
Yeah, what's up, Rashid? What's up, Awesomeness Sports? Yeah, I just hope Kyle Smith and Ron Rivera, they get the QB that they want. They get their guy. Even Scott Turner should have some say in what QB he wants. That's what I want. I want to make sure that they have their guys. That's what I want to see so that they have no excuses. Draft your guy, even sit him behind Alex for a few weeks slash maybe even a year, and develop him because if we want to contend for a Super Bowl, we we gotta get we have to have a franchise quarterback.
Yeah, definitely for sure. I agree.
And okay, so real quick, now on to the division. What is your take? Do you think we're gonna win the division or not?
Yes, I do. I really do think we're going to win this division because the Dallas Cowboys, they even though they have the second easiest schedule remaining in the NFL, I just don't think that they're in a state of mind where they're going to be able to win this division. Their season really lies on this game versus Baltimore this week, and if they're getting Lamar Jackson back this week, I don't see them winning that game. The Philadelphia Eagles, they are a mess, and I don't see them winning one game besides the Cowboys game. That's the only game I see them possibly winning. The New York Giants are our only competition, and they have the tiebreaker over us, obviously, because they swept us. But with Daniel Jones being gone and how long he'll be out, we don't know. Even though they're saying he's feeling good, and I think he'll only miss one game. But at the same time, you don't want to rush it back too fast because hamstrings tend to linger. So I think it's all right there for us to win. I think we're going to win this division, man. We just got to take care of business, and our performance Monday is going to tell me a lot about us winning this division.
Yeah, what's up, Redskin 007? Yeah, I agree. I really like Kyle Smith. I mean, Philip, I'm a little just scared with Trey Lance's experience. He only has like 16 total games. That's the only thing with me, but I like his potential. Um, so yeah, I mean, how many wins? How many wins do you have us getting?
I have us getting realistically 7 wins to win the division, but hey, man, I want to say 9-7, so why not go 9-7? But realistically, 7 wins gets it done, maybe even 6. But I'm gonna go 7-9. But my what I want us to do 9-7, baby. Why not?
Yep. Any Steelers fans in the chat, go ahead. If you're a Steelers fan, go ahead and give your game prediction score. So yeah, I mean, I think 7 guarantee you're in. If you're, I mean, I agree, a third or fourth round, but if Micah Parsons is there, I would not mind drafting him. But I think 7 100% gets it done. 6 might too. And you look at our schedule, we just got to win one of these three. If we win one of these three against the Steelers, 49ers, and Seahawks, I really think we have a chance. I think if we win one of those three, we're going to win the division. I really do, because that puts us at 5 going into week 16 and 17, where we play 2 games where we have a solid chance of winning both of them. So I think 6 gets it done, 7 100% gets it done. If we look at the Giants' schedule, they've got a tough schedule, and I realistically think they're going to be at 5 games. Because look at this schedule. They play the Seahawks without Daniel Jones, okay? They're not. Daniel Jones is going to be out. I mean, more likely than not. He might even be out against the Cardinals. Who knows? You don't want to rush an hamstring back. So let's say hypothetically he comes back against the Browns. I still think that maybe he wins one out of these next 3 games. I think because the Cowboys, even as bad as they are, that still isn't a guaranteed win for them. They're still favored in that game, and they're probably going to win that game, but it's not necessarily 100% that they're going to win against the Cowboys. So I have them at 5 wins. Maybe they get to 6, but that's it. I mean, they've got momentum, sure, but look at the last 3 games they've played. They played against they beat the Eagles, they beat us when, Kyle Allen got hurt midway through the game, and then they beat the Bengals with Brandon Allen as their starting quarterback. So we'll see. We'll see. I think it's going to be close. I think the must-win game on that schedule is against Philly. I mean, if we don't win that game, unless we're already at 6 heading into that week, we're not going to win that division. And yeah, and you also, I mean, I know the answer, but would you rather win the division or get a top 10 draft pick?
I'd rather win a division because I want to build a good culture and I want to win a winning culture. And us winning a division is going to give a taste of victory for our guys, or just taste of postseason for our guys. And guys like Terry McLaurin, Chase Young, Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen, Matt Ioannidis, even though he isn't going to be playing, I'm pretty sure he'll most likely even be not in attendance due to COVID, but he'll even see that his team is there, and that's going to make him even want to be home. So just for everyone to get that taste of the playoff football, that's going to want them to get come back even more. I want our guys to experience playoff football more than a top 10 pick.
Yeah, I agree. I think it builds culture, and you're still going to get, that 19th pick. You might be able to get your quarterback. Then you have 2 second-round picks, and you might be able to get your quarterback then and trade up a little bit. So I just hope we stay competitive throughout the rest of the season. And I think personally, we maybe even with the Giants, I think alongside the Giants are going to be at top of the division. I think the Eagles are screwed, especially with Wentz, because it doesn't matter how bad he is. They're going to be forced to build around him. What do you think about Wentz?
Yeah, man, I really do think that they're really messed up. They messed up Wentz this year, but at the same time, he played a vital role at why he's playing so bad this year. But at the same time, he's getting hit on every single play. He has no weapons around him. So what do you expect him to do? You know what I'm saying? The play caller is not doing a good job of calling plays that is built for his strength. Carson Wentz is one of the better passers when he's having to roll out of the pocket, but they're trying to turn him into a pocket passer with no offensive line. Carson Wentz is a better quarterback than what he's putting on display this year, and he plays a role in his failure this year. But at the same time, the team has failed him. So if they can get some weapons around him, they'll be back to normal. Carson Wentz will be back to normal, but he's getting hit on every single play. He's scared. He always thinks he's going to get hit, and it's kind of messing with his mental.
Yeah, the thing with Wentz though is I feel like good, elite, and even good quarterbacks find a way to, even in bad conditions, they find a way to be great and elevate the players around them. And it's not like they have terrible weapons. I mean, they still got Miles Sanders. They got a first-round receiver this year. They have Dallas Goedert, who's a solid tight end. They had Zach Ertz in the beginning of the season. So, I think, and a lot of the picks aren't because he doesn't have weapons. It's because he just makes a terrible throw and a terrible mental error. And also, like Brian said, they are screwed when it comes to cap because they're kind of in a win now mode in terms of a lot of their players are older players that are, if they cut them and move on from them, they're going to have to pay a lot of dead money. They got a lot of older players, Alshon Jeffrey, Deshaun Jackson, Jason Kelsey, Jason Peters, Fletcher Cox isn't that old, but he's a little bit old. A lot of their players are old, and I don't think they're in the best position, especially if Wentz continues to struggle. And then the Cowboys, if Dak Prescott doesn't come back, they're absolutely screwed. They are screwed. So yeah. And then also one thing, do you think we have a wide receiver 2 on this roster? So you can include Kelvin Harmon in there.
That's hard to answer because as much as I want to say Cam Sims or Kelvin Harmon, Cam Sims, he has to be more consistent, and that's part on his half to get it open, and also the quarterback has to see him, and also the play caller has to scheme for him to get open. That's one player that I want to say as a number 2 wide receiver, but that's hard to answer. I also want to say Kelvin Harmon is a number 2 receiver, but he's hurt. He's coming off of injury, so we don't really know. So I'm going to just say we don't. But I don't be surprised if Kelvin Harmon is at number 2. But I'm gonna just say we don't have the number 2 on this
I think we have a lot of guys that are kind of like role guys that can get 400, 500 plus yards in a season. But
Mhm.
I don't know if we have a guy that can get, 650 to 850 consistently. Who knows? AGG, Harmon, those guys are still have time. And I mean, you could say that someone said, all this talk about the Skins, we're going to get embarrassed on Monday night. I mean, sure, it's prime time, but I feel like, we got a different head coach. We got a different guy. So, Gruden wetting the bed, with his Monday night disasters. And sure, other coaches before them, but I feel like, Ron Rivera's we barely ever beat the Cowboys in the last 10 years. We might occasionally beat them every few years. This year we swept them. Ron Rivera's the only coach ever in Washington football team history to sweep the Cowboys in his first year. So that is I really like Ron Rivera, and I think this team is different than the teams in the last, few years. And yeah, I mean, like Brian said, I mean, technically, what they say a 4 o'clock game isn't prime time, but really it is. 30 million people watching, that's prime time to me, especially on Thanksgiving when everybody is watching. Um, so yeah, I think we're gonna call it a day. We're gonna answer a few more questions, and then we're gonna head out. So any questions you guys have, go ahead and put it in the chat, and make sure to sub up to Juan Gotti.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much for having me on, man. This is a blast every single weekend. Hopefully, we can get the job done Monday, man. I'll be watching like you guys will be watching on the edge of my seat, just praying. So everybody, before we go to sleep tonight, pray to up there so to get a win, man, because it's gonna take everything in this team to pull off this upset. One thing I do want to say before we leave is, although Colt McCoy is starting, let's not act like Colt McCoy isn't a good backup and can lead a team to a win or two. So don't be surprised if Colt McCoy could possibly give them a chance to win versus Seattle, because we know Colt McCoy, he can step in with a full weeks of work this week. He could possibly sneak out a win. Do I see it happening? No, but hey, you never know. And once again, we have Sunday off once again, so make sure you guys pay close attention to the division. Philadelphia's playing Green Bay, gonna be a blowout. You know what I'm saying? New York playing Seattle. I see that getting I don't know. I'm gonna say it stays close, but I think Seattle wins that game. But anything else? Thank you guys for having me on, man. I really do appreciate doing this every single week, and let's pray for a win Monday, guys.
Yeah, we'll answer if anyone have any more questions, and yeah, we'll see. We'll see if Colt McCoy plays better as a starter, because coming in as a backup is a lot harder. But he did not have a good game in against the. He didn't have a good game against the Bengals. He had like 30 yards. Should have been picked off at least once, maybe twice, and he missed at the end of the game. I think the Bengals had just fumbled, and um, Cole McCoy on a third down, they kind of blitzed him, and he had Dion Lewis wide open in the flat, and it was like the most walk-in touchdown ever, and he missed him.
Yeah.
He's a capable backup. I just don't think that he's gonna get the job done for them, and I hope he doesn't, because I think out of us and the Giants, if anyone wins any of the next 3 games, I think that team is gonna win the division. That's my take on it.
Exactly. I'm definitely on the same page with you. I think whoever wins these next 3 games is gonna win this division, and I hope it's us, man. Hopefully the Giants lose versus Seattle and we pull out the upset, man. Please.
Yeah, if we somehow beat the Steelers, only team to beat them in 2020, that would be crazy. So again, thank you guys for coming in here. Make sure you guys sub up to Juan Gotti, great Washington football team YouTuber. And yeah, hopefully we do get that dub Tomorrow we will be looking out, like Juan said, for that Seahawks game against the Giants, and also the Eagles and Packers game. So again, thank you guys for coming in here. Thank you, everyone, for supporting. And yep, see ya.
Peace.
Peace.